Political leaders are essential in a democracy, and they play a very, very critical role in offering checks and balances, offering governance in terms of democracy, and also ensuring the observance of democratic tenets, the rule of law, and also just promoting good governance. And Zambia has come a long way since it became a democracy in 1991. A lot of political parties are now on the scene. A lot of political leaders have come up to offer checks and balances as they are in opposition, and also for the different governing parties that have led Zambia over the years, offering the leadership at a particular time of 5 years. Therefore, it is very, very important for us as a foundation, FES, to encourage dialogue, a platform for dialogue between the different parties, political players in Zambia, because we believe in democracy. We are social democrats ourselves, and we believe that Zambia should continue on this path, and therefore we will continue to offer our support towards such processes to promote and enhance Zambia's young democracy, which needs to be protected and also promoted to grow to greater heights.
I think what we are seeing is a very bad trend in terms of the way opposition political parties, or just political parties in general, are managing themselves, their affairs. So you see political parties that do not have an ideology. We are not sure about what it is that they want to do for us or for the people. So for as long as political parties are so disorganized, they need to remember that they are government in waiting. And so they need to be organized, they need to have an ideology. We don't want to see a situation where political leaders are moving from one party to another without really making us understand what it is that they stand for. So I think that's one of the things that we really need to focus on, to ensure that opposition political parties especially are more organized and have an ideology and a position for which they are existing. So for me, I think the biggest challenge is what to term the democracy dividends. Okay, when you have a democracy, there's expectation that there will be some benefits. Okay, and this benefit is mostly in economic terms. Okay, so what we see is that when someone is going to a booth to vote, okay, they're going to make a position there. They're saying that, look, I want my life to be better. I want my children to go to school. I want to have 3 meals in a day. Okay, and when that does not happen, you find that that's where you see that there will be voter apathy. Okay, and so I think the challenge for those in political leadership is to ensure that they put in systems that will allow for economic transformation, so that people continue believing in democracy. Let's continue on this trajectory. Let's allow, particularly for other political parties to exist, because that's very important. But then they need to be more organized. And other than that, I think this issue of ensuring that citizens actually see the benefit for voting should be engaged seriously. I think for me that is the issue. And also, finally, I think I'll do myself a disservice if I don't talk about women. When we talk about participation, it's not just participation for our male folk, but also women have to be involved. Right now, the statistics are so bad. You find that in Parliament, I think the representation for women is just about, is it 18%, which is very low. So we need to improve on that.
Actually, democracy must be at the core of every political leader's heartbeat, because without it, then our people will not express themselves fully. Without democracy thriving, it will be difficult for even us leaders to be checked. Therefore, democracy becomes extremely crucial, especially in countries such as ours, to realize that the people, no matter how poor they might be, they are also human beings whose voices must be heard. And that you can't have a society only for the rich, and the rich are the ones with a bigger agenda. I think it's high time that We gave a platform, even to the downtrodden, the marginalized, if you want to call them the poor. They also need to be heard, because even in their poverty, they carry dignity. And we need to understand that unless these three wings of government begins working independently and in a more affirmative and strong way, we'll have a problem, because you find that you have a speaker in the House who wants to hear what the president of a country has said before they can pass a ruling. It should never be that way. I think our democracy there is quite fragile. And then we have elections will come in this country. If you don't have money, you can't stand for elections. I think in countries where democracies are thriving, even the poor people must be given an opportunity to aspire for leadership. It just can't be for those who can afford, and those that can't afford can't even think of becoming a councillor. I think democracy then becomes exposed. That is naked democracy then. So we need to do everything. We need to work hard to interrogate our weaknesses so that we can arrive at our strengths. Democracy remains the lifeline of our country. Democracy remains the heartbeat of our nation. Without it, it will be difficult for us to achieve our aspirations. We must have freedom of association. We must have freedom of expression. We must have these certain Bill of Rights being accentuated. We need them to be amplified as opposed to what we have now. So we need democracy in this country in order to strike a balance between the rich and the poor.
Well, to begin with, firstly, our political parties are not ideology-centered. They are more people-centered. Like, the person leading the political party is the attraction to that political party. So we need to institutionalize our political parties such that it doesn't matter who is leading it, but the party, the actual organ, is what is carrying the day. To the point that if the leader misbehaves, the party should be able to admonish or recall that leader. And whoever wants to take leadership must be aware of that. That's not to say that you should dress down your leaders. No, you need to give the due respect. When we have the power, we tend to abuse it. I don't know whether we are not able to see that you're abusing the power. We have this attitude of saying, I'm in charge, you'll see what I'm going to do to you. Rather than, I'm in charge, let me see how I can help, how I can change things for the better. But I'm speaking this from experience of belonging to a party that was in power and voted out. When people are crying and saying, we are not happy with this, and you ignore them, that's the beginning of your downfall. I can say that confidently because as Patriotic Front, we stopped listening to the people. And if we did, we were trying to make amends too late, to the point where people thought that, okay, it doesn't matter what you do, we are not, going to give you another chance. Let's try somebody else. So, again, this is where the leaders, whether in opposition or outside opposition, need to listen to the people who vote them into power are saying. Yes, it's about the people, of course, and with the people. Yes, indeed. And also consensus building. If you're going to go the democracy route, you have to rely on consensus building so that the majority carry the day. In Zambia, consensus building has allowed for opposition, which may not be necessary, but just for the sake of opposition. You want to get to something that is above partisan lines, but, because you're in opposition, your job is to oppose, even if you don't need to. As a result, we lost out on the Bill of Rights in 2016 when we were trying to, we as Patriotic Front were trying to get the rights to be enshrined in the Constitution such that education became a right, health became a right, where you live or accommodation became a right, such that if government did not provide shelter, food, health and education and whatever, you could take them to task. Why? there was so much resistance to say, don't allow for this to happen, I really don't understand. But it's a good thing. And we were depending on consensus, it didn't work. So democracy also has its issues where when it comes to the majority taking the stage. Yeah. The other thing also is in this democratic dispensation, you get a lot of offers to help. And depending on who is giving you the offer, whether it's the West or the East, they all come with their conditions. You know, you give and take. They give you something, you also give them back something. So negotiators, we are lacking patriotic negotiators, people who are truly negotiating on behalf of the people. That is also a problem in this democracy that we're in. Because you find people who are selfish, who are in it for themselves rather than for the people. It's natural. I think it's human to be greedy and selfish. That's why those words exist. So it's up to the people in leadership to exercise self-control if they are going to be respected, you know, and if politicians are going to be respected generally. Here in Zambia and in Africa, we're yet to see politicians resign for being morally incorrect. A lot of them will just look the other way and you have to force them out, you know.
In a nutshell, the nation needs a bit more education. The nation needs a bit more interaction. We need to entrench democracy and we need to give the Zambian voter the understanding that this power that you're given to exercise every 5 years or in a by-election is the power that you must never sell because you are poor or because of tribal extraction or because you don't have a job and somebody offers you something overnight or because you think and feel, I don't like a fellow woman having this position, therefore I'll vote against her. It's those little intricacies. And having studied a bit of political science myself and read a lot of philosophy and theology, I understand that the African description or understanding of leadership has to do with who's got the money, which tribe does he come from? And now in town, it's what status does he hold? And even that must not really be. We still have a long way to go, but there's a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. I can see some light. And the more educated we get, the more exposure we give to our people, the more cosmopolitan we become as a people. I think we'll get rid of status, gender, poverty, lack of employment as a criteria for electing somebody. We'll be looking at what does he offer me? Does he have the right ideas? Does he have the moral standing? Does he have the integrity to live up to the expectations that I am going to vote for? Because after all, what do politicians sell? You sell a manifesto. That's what people believe in. But we've got politicians today who you can ask, you want to be president? Yes. Why? And they'll tell you, no, but I can also be. Yeah, you can. But what are you bringing to the table? And 3/4 of what I'm seeing now, sorry to say, doesn't fit the bill. I'm really sorry to say. No. The ideas are just not there. But it's all about if Lungu could be president, I can also be president. If HH is president, I can also be president. That's not what leadership is about. Leadership is about values that you espouse, an idea that can inspire and motivate the masses to believe in and say, that's the kind of leader we want, and we think and feel he can bring some change. If you're not bringing any change, then what's the point of changing leadership? So for me, it's all intertwined. But we've got these little problems, and if we don't solve the economic side, we may compromise our democracy.